No one ever talks about the reality of what those first few paychecks actually look like as a small creator. Back then when I was doing my research, I would see all these bigger creators saying how I earned 600K last year for my channel, or this is how much I earned with 100K subscribers. So when I finally got monetized, I had no clue what to expect. And when I got that first paycheck, honestly, I was shocked. You see, at the time, I really wanted to quit my 9-to-5 and go full-time with content creation, but I kept wondering to myself, how long is this supposed to take? How many subscribers do I actually need? And honestly, is this even possible? I know a lot of you guys are probably in a similar boat, so in this video, I wanted to be fully transparent about exactly how much I earned in my first 6 months of being monetized. And for the first time ever on my channel, I'm gonna share how I actually did manage to quit my corporate job last year and go full-time with content creation, even as a small creator, but by taking a much more unconventional path that no one ever talks about in the creator space. So let's get into it. Timestamps below as always, because I value your time. I posted my very first YouTube video on the 23rd of July 2023, and just 2 months later, on the 8th of September, was when I first got monetized. Now that happened unusually fast. Why? It was because out of the blue, randomly, my 4th video that I ever uploaded just blew up and it got over 380K views. And now before you guys say anything or assume stuff like, oh, she just blew up overnight, hear me out. My creator journey is actually the opposite to what a lot of other people's creator journeys look like, and I will explain what I mean. So for a lot of people, when they first start out, they will experience the desert of desertion, meaning their growth is basically flat. You know, they're not getting a lot of views, not a lot of subscribers, and it remains flat for like a really long time, several months, a year, maybe even several years for some people. And then randomly one day when they upload their 100th video, that's when they see the spike, and that's when their channel starts steadily growing. Whereas for me, I actually experienced that spike first, very early on, and then came the desert of desertion. I'll show you guys exactly what that looked like in a bit. And let me tell you, that was both a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing in the sense where it gave me that quick win early on, which helped me to keep going with the journey. It gave me that early proof that I needed that, okay, there's something here, I just need to keep pursuing this. But on the other hand, because I spiked so early, it set my expectations sky high. And so when I finally did hit that desert of desertion, it hit me a lot harder. And every single video after that didn't blow up felt like a complete failure to me. So now I'm gonna actually show you guys what that looks like with specific numbers and all that. Friday, September 8th, 2023 was my first day of officially being monetized. I made a whopping $5.59 on that first day. And then the next couple days were some exciting spikes. September 9th got $49, September 10th got another $49. But after that, for the rest of September and going into early October, it was back down to like $2 to $6 every single day. And then by October, things picked up again, views started ramping, and I was earning somewhere between $10 to $40 a day. And all that money was largely thanks to that one video that blew up randomly. And come mid-November, for the next few months, all the way until mid-February, was crickets. That was when I experienced the flat line, the desert of desertion. This was the most painful part of my journey because remember, like most people experience that flat line initially, whereas for me, I experienced it after a spike. And so it really did hit me a lot harder emotionally. And in those months when my subscriber count stagnated, my view count stagnated, I genuinely felt like my little YouTube experiment was over and that potentially this could be the end of the road for me. It was very, very painful. And so after that painful stagnation period of a few months was when I released my second video that popped off. It was around mid-February, and that video has gotten over 120K views. And so as you can see here, I was earning $9.60 here, $13 there, and then a spike up to $50. And then after that, back down to $30, $60, and so on. So in that 6-month period, I earned a grand total of $1,645.82. And for daily earnings, it ranged somewhere between a few dollars up to like $50 a day maximum. And over that period, I gained 9,700 new subscribers. The majority of that growth, by the way, those new subscribers, those views, and all that AdSense primarily came from those 2 videos that popped off. And so to all the aspiring creator entrepreneurs out there, I really just wanted to emphasize a few things that I learned from this journey. And it's that most of your videos will actually perform pretty average for your subscriber count, meaning, you're not getting a ton of views and it's not really giving you that much AdSense. But then once in a while, after maybe every few months, once in a blue moon, you will have one video that will just pick up and then you'll experience a spike in your growth. For me, I've made almost 70 videos on my channel, and out of those 70, 4 or maybe 5 of those are responsible for 99% of my channel growth, for 99% of my subscriber count. That is usually how the YouTube game works. Growth is really not linear in any sort of way. It's just like a flat line for ages, and then a spike, and then a flat line, and then another spike. Or, sometimes you experience steady growth, but largely that is the typical YouTube journey. And that is exactly why you need to keep going and why consistency is so important on this platform, because you need to be churning out like all of those average videos in order to then create that banger video that's gonna give you that spike. But you can only get there by putting in the reps. But let me also point something else out. $1,600 from AdSense in the span of 6 months is honestly not a lot of money. And it's certainly not enough for you to quit your corporate job. For me, I didn't just want to make videos for fun. Like, yes, that's one aspect of it, but I also wanted to turn this into a career. I wanted to make videos and do fulfilling work that I love and be able to, earn enough to live comfortably from it. So I was really racking my brain for how I was going to make this sustainable and how I was going to make this work. And that's when I learned the hard truth. AdSense only really pays you well only if you have a ton of subscribers, and I mean like at least a few 100K or a few million, and if you're consistently raking in 100K plus views consistently, which we all know there's nothing consistent about YouTube. One day you might get 100K views, the next day you might get 600, and so it's very up and down. And brand deals, when they come around, are really nice. However, they are still like a very inconsistent source of income, because you can't always rely on the fact that you're gonna get a sponsorship coming through. And also, I just want to be really upfront with you guys about this. When you are a small creator, sometimes brands will kind of take advantage of that. Like, they know you have somewhat of an engaged audience, but they will try to lowball you, and so you won't be earning that much money. Like for me, in my first year of getting sponsorships, when I was still like under 15K or under 20K subscribers, I was getting maybe somewhere between $200 to $300 per integration, so per 60 to 90 seconds in my video. So between AdSense and brand deals, I realized, okay, none of these traditional creator incomes are sustainable enough, especially given that I'm still a small channel. And that left me with the $1 million question here, which is, how do I figure out a way to quit my corporate job and go full-time with content creation without a large following? This brings me to part 2, and this is the part of the story that I like to call the fuck off journey. Let's rewind back to March of 2024. That was when I finally left my corporate banking job in Malaysia. And this is the crazy part. Back then, at the point of me quitting, I had only 14,000 subscribers. And most people would think like, that's insane, that's way too low. Why would you quit your job with only 14K subscribers? And I would agree. Honestly, when I was looking back through my YouTube Studio analytics and like doing research and pulling up the numbers for this video, I, just out of curiosity, went back to the exact day that I left my job, which was March 28th, I think. And I just checked to see like how many subscribers did I have at the time. And when I saw 14K, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I actually quit my job with 14,000 subscribers. I'm equally as shocked as you are. But I just want to say, like, this was not an overnight decision. Like, I didn't quit my job on a whim. I actually prepared for many, many years before that. So I knew very early on in my corporate journey that I wanted to quit, that this wasn't for me. Like, I pretty much knew a few months into that first job. And the thing is, I was actually bonded to my company for 3.5 years. I couldn't leave, otherwise I had to pay a penalty, and that penalty was like half my year's salary, which is insane. And so I had 3.5 years to sort of like build that runway. I was saving up a lot of money. I had multiple side hustles going on at the same time. And I was really like cutting back on expenses, learning about personal finance, and just like doing all that financial preparation. And then a year before quitting my job was when I started my YouTube channel. That whole year then became my runway. I was doing more financial prep and I was posting on YouTube consistently every single week, even though I had like this super demanding job in finance. And at the same time, I was also doing a crazy amount of research on how creators actually make a living. And very quickly, I started to learn traditional forms of creator income like AdSense and brand deals are honestly not enough to make a full-time living. AdSense is up and down depending on the performance of your videos, and also with brand deals, like they're very inconsistent. You don't know when they're gonna come around, and also sometimes brands try to lowball you. So here is the truth that no one ever talks about in the creator space, and that is the only sustainable way to become a full-time creator is to actually have a business on the back end of your channel. Now, you'll hear people say this in lots of different ways. Some people might call it creating a profitable personal brand or becoming a creator entrepreneur, like whatever buzzword you want to attach to it, but it's all essentially the same thing. You are creating content on your channel on like a specific topic or a specific niche, or like educating someone on how to achieve a specific transformation. And then through your content, you attract those customers to the back end of your channel, which is essentially your business. That is your monetization engine. And this business can look like a lot of different things. It could be like a coaching service or group coaching. It could be like a community. It could be like a self-paced digital course or an ebook, an e-guide, or you could even have your own merch so you can sell your own physical products. What I noticed from all my research is that all the financially successful creators, people that manage to achieve financial freedom through content, are the people who made a business from the back end of the channel. They're not just relying on sponsorships, and they're not just relying on Google AdSense. And if you're someone who is in a similar boat to I was, you're already posting content consistently, but you're not sure like how to create a business from your channel, I've actually made something for you. It's a completely free Notion guide called 4 Steps to Starting Your First Online Business in Under 48 Hours, even if you have zero business experience. And basically it walks you through how to discover your monetizable skills, how to pick the one monetizable skill that has the biggest earning potential or the best business potential, and then it helps to take you through step by step how to turn that into an offer that people would happily pay for. So you can grab that for free in the description below. Anyways, back to my story. So when I quit my job, I hadn't started my business yet. I had no clue what business I wanted to start. All I knew was the trajectory of what that journey would look like, of the steps that I would need to take, but I hadn't taken those steps just yet. So at that point, I was researching a lot about how to create a personal brand and how to create a sales funnel, how to make a grand slam offer and all those business things. But at the same time, I didn't want to burn through all my savings while figuring it out. I didn't have that much savings to begin with because, like I said, I was working in Malaysia at the time and our salaries are really not as high as our Western counterparts. And so to cushion that, I did something pretty unconventional. I decided to pack my bags and move to Australia. And hear me out. The reason why I did this was because there's this thing called the working holiday visa. That was the visa that I was on. It lets you stay in Australia for 12 months and you can essentially work whatever job you want. What that allowed me to do was to work just 2 to 3 days a week part-time, which then gave me that perfect balance of, okay, I'm earning enough to cover all of my basic necessities and living expenses like rent and groceries, whilst giving me more time, like a few extra days a week, to be working on my channel and my business and to figure things out, basically. And the reason why I chose Australia is because Australia has one of the highest minimum wage rates in the entire world. Per hour, you get $24.10 minimum. And how much you earn versus the cost of living there, like you can live a pretty sweet life. Like you don't need a high-flying job to live pretty comfortably. So it really was like the perfect arrangement for everything that I needed. I just needed some stability from an income, but I also wanted more time to work on my own stuff. And most importantly, it allowed me to just not dip into my savings or to dip into it very, very slightly. that really helped to give me that peace of mind. So here's my recommendation for you. Like, if you are looking to quit your job and you kind of want to do something similar, if you are working a job that allows you to go part-time, just do that. Just work 2 to 3 days a week, but you're still essentially working the same job. You're just earning a bit less because you're working less. I know going part-time is possible in a lot of Western countries, but it's not really an option in Malaysia, which is why I ended up doing the whole working holiday visa thing so that I could do that. But if, let's say, you can't do that with your current job, just find another job that will allow you to work part-time. Or another way, and this is probably a very common way that people hear about, is just to quit your job cold turkey and to just like live off of your savings alone and, you know, not have any part-time jobs on the side. Honestly, I would only really recommend this to people who have really high paying jobs. Like, let's say you were working in tech in Silicon Valley, or you were earning 350K a year at Google. And, you know, over the years, you managed to like build this huge financial cushion or like this huge monetary safety net. And you know, you can comfortably just like quit your job cold turkey, not have any part-time jobs, and just like kind of like slowly burn through your savings. So that's another way of doing it. Honestly, like I wish I could do it in that way, because then it gives you more time and more bandwidth to be working on your own stuff instead of having to like work 2-3 days at a gym, which is what I did. But of course, you'd need to just make sure you handle your living expenses and keep it to a minimum so that your burn rate is a lot slower and, you know, you extend the runway for your business. Back to my timeline, I quit my job in March of 2024. I moved to Australia in July of 2024. And for those first few months that I was there, I was continuing to make content every single week. And I was like doing lots of research, experimenting. And then in November of 2024 was when I started my very, very first business. It was a creator coaching business, a one-to-one high-ticket offer. I was helping people in 9-to-5 jobs to grow their YouTube channels and to build their personal brand. Initially, it started with like one-off calls, and then I created like a package that people could buy. And eventually I turned it into like a 3-month coaching program where they would pay me like $1,000 per month. And then for 3 months, we would have weekly calls and like email check-ins whenever they need. But I'll be super honest with you, like, just before I started that business, I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, did not believe that I could do this. Like, I didn't have that self-belief. I didn't think that I could make internet money. It was only when I made that very first sale where I actually gave myself first-party evidence to believe like, oh, I can actually do this. And I swear, after that first sale was when my brain chemistry just changed forever. That was when I realized that I no longer needed to be dependent on a paycheck. I no longer need to wait for an employer or someone else to pay me money, because I can do that on my own. I now have the skills to do that. And to my shock, like a few months into me starting my creator coaching business was when I started earning like $3,000 a month. And to me, that was triple what I used to earn in my old corporate job. I used to earn like maybe 1.2 to 1.4K USD. So that was like a massive step up. And that was all through something that was completely mine, that I had created by myself. Like, I cannot tell you how powerful it made me feel and how amazing that was. To put things into perspective, like if you remember my first 6 months of being monetized on YouTube, I earned $1,600 in the span of 6 months. Whereas like when I started my creator coaching business, I was earning $3,000 a month. So you can kind of see with the numbers already that building a creator business on the back end of your channel is really the only sustainable way for you to become a full-time creator. You cannot rely on AdSense, and you cannot just rely on brand deals that come and go. And to wrap up my story, here's the biggest lesson that I wanted to impart in this video. And that is that you will never feel ready to start. I certainly didn't, and most people don't when they're starting their first business or when they're starting their channel for the first time. It's a really scary thing, and I'm gonna tell you right here, right now, you will never feel good about starting. You'll never feel like it's the right time. The right moment never comes. But you have to start and make the move regardless. It's only by taking action, doing the thing, stumbling through it, and providing first-party evidence, that proof to yourself that you're capable of doing the thing, that you will finally feel ready. That's the irony of it all. action comes first. And then the feelings of confidence and self-belief will follow after. So I ran that creator coaching business for about 8 months, and in these past few months, I've been slowly sunsetting that program and taking on like the last few client calls, because I'm gonna be launching a new program very, very soon, which is very exciting. And it is essentially going to help people more deeply with the business side of things. So it is going to be a coaching program, but I'll also still be helping with the content side of things. So really it's the full picture of creating a profitable personal brand. How do you make content which not only grows your audience, but also attracts the right people who will eventually want to buy from you, not just casual viewers. And the coaching is also going to help with the monetization aspect of things. So how to actually create a successful business on the back end of your content. I'm in the middle of launching the program right now, and I'll be announcing it to my newsletter subscribers first. So if you want to be the first few to hear about the program when it finally launches and to grab a spot on the beta round, then make sure you subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the description below. Okay guys, take care and see you in the next video.